Once the most exclusive class in the game, the Chromatic rarity, despite its removal in December of 2023, has still retained some of its apparent exclusivity, with many of the brawlers formerly of the Chromatic rarity being some of the least played brawlers in the game, though there are a few exceptions. In this video, I'm going to be going over a brief history of all the Chromatic brawlers, their popularity, their balancing, to provide context for these brawlers. At the end, I'm going to go over some of the reasons I believe that despite the removal of the Chromatic rarity, former Chromatic brawlers are still so lowly played. I've noticed a lot of you guys who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you watch these videos, consider subscribing. Second, join our Discord server. We have some fun stuff to do there, like our very own 1v1 rank called Gauntlet. And finally, consider becoming a channel member if you're interested in supporting out the channel and have ample disposable income for some cool perks. The very first Brawl Pass brawler was Gale, released in May of 2020 in the Taro's Bazaar season. Throughout his history, Gale has been consistently one of the stronger brawlers in Brawl Stars. Even during some of his non-meta days, he's always had a niche in being a tank killer, which you can find out more about in my Gale PowerPoint. But anyway, Gale consistently being a good brawler, but more importantly, being the very first Brawl Pass brawler, has contributed to him always maintaining decent play rates. He was never the top of the top, but he was always one of the more played Chromatics, and his extremely powerful hypercharge has led a bit of a renaissance for him, being the 24th most played brawler in the game, and probably higher before his nerfs. Next was the Summer of Monsters in July of 2020, which had Surge as the Chromatic brawler of the season. Throughout his history, Surge has been up and down in meta relevance. Sometimes he's the best brawler in the game, like he was recently after his hypercharge, and other times he's heavily undertuned and one of the worst brawlers. However, he's been consistently one of the most popular brawlers in the game, with his very fun playstyle, great and appealing design, and his status as one of the early Chromatic brawlers. Currently, he is the 8th most played brawler in the game. The Welcome to Star Park season was next in September of 2020, and Colette was the Brawl Pass brawler back then. Despite a horrendous release, Colette has become one of the most popular Chromatics behind Surge, consistently being one of the most played brawlers, despite having a lot of times where she was pretty trash. Her hypercharge certainly hasn't hurt either, giving her a lot of usage in Heist. Currently, she's the 21st most played brawler in the game. The next season was the Holiday Getaway season in November of 2020, and Lou was the Brawl Pass brawler. Lou has a lot of ups and downs throughout his history, but mostly downs in terms of meta relevancy. Combine this with his mostly skillful gameplay, and you can see why he was a very unpopular brawler for a while. However, with his hypercharge and many buffs, Lou is one of the best brawlers in the game right now, yet still is only 47th in play rates. The first new season in 2021 was the Star Force season in February, with the Brawl Pass brawler being Ruffs. I have an entire video on why he isn't played, so just go and watch that for a comprehensive essay as to why. But anyway, he has been extremely unpopular since his release, and even with the hypercharge, he is still the 85th least played brawler in the game. All I can say to that is, that's rough, buddy. The next season was the Gold Arm Gang season in April of 2021. This season's Chromatic was Belle. Despite being one of the most consistently solid and balanced brawlers throughout her history, she has never been one of the most popular. She is often overshadowed by her counterpart Piper, and an underwhelming hypercharge certainly hasn't helped her with her play rates, with her currently being the 54th most used brawler in the game. Jurassic Splash was next in June of 2021, with the Chromatic brawler being Buzz Lightyear. Wait a minute, you're telling me that there's another brawler named Buzz? My apologies, apparently the Chromatic brawler in the Jurassic Splash season was Buzz. Buzz is an interesting case, in which the nature of his kit made him a bit of a popular brawler, with a powerful stun and a supercharge radius, especially useful for everyone's favorite mode, Molo Mowdown. However, his big break came when he was chosen to be the Godzilla skin. He was given out for free to everyone who had him, along with a skin of a completely new and valuable rarity. turning him into an extremely popular brawler, even to this day with the addition of his hypercharge. Buzz is currently the 16th most popular brawler in the game. Once Upon a Brawl was the next season in August of 2021, with the chromatic brawler being Ash. Like Ruffs, I haven't made an entire video on him, which you should definitely check out. But overall, he has consistently been one of the least played brawlers in the game since his release, and has never really been a meta brawler. However, he is quite good in the meta now with his hypercharge, yet is still only the 73rd most played brawler in the game. Brawlywood was the next season in November of 2021, with the chromatic brawler being Lola. Lola probably deserves her own Why No One Plays video, but for now, this will suffice. She has been overshadowed by a lot of brawlers, despite being consistently solid. She has never really breached the S tier too often, and also requires quite skilled gameplay. Due to all of this, and being a chromatic brawler obviously, she has been one of the least played brawlers for her whole lifetime, and now she's currently the 81st most played brawler. Next up is the Year of the Tiger season, released in January of 2022. The chromatic brawler this season was Fang. Fang has always been a very popular brawler, having extremely fun mechanics with his ability to chain supers and cause team wipes. His hypercharge exemplified this even further, and even though he isn't the best in the current meta, he is still at a comfortable 14th most played brawler. Up next is the Biodome season, released in March of 2022. The chromatic brawler in this season was Eve. Unlike Fang, Eve has always been very unpopular. She has no flashy mechanics or anything, and so she is mostly unplayed, and like Lola, deserves her own Why No One Plays. However, she did get a very powerful hypercharge, so that must have helped with her play rates, right? Well, not by much, as she is still only the 67th most played brawler in the game. The Stunt Show season is next, releasing in May 2022, with the chromatic brawler being Janet this season. As you guessed, she has her own Why No One Plays, which you should check out. Just like Eve, she has never really been a popular brawler, despite having some stints at the very top of the meta. She's currently the 79th most played brawler in Brawl Stars. The Deep Sea Brawl season released in July of 2022, with the Brawl Pass brawler being Otis. Overall, Otis has been a very strong brawler for most of his history, but has been up and down in other times. Despite this and a pretty fun playstyle, he has been in the lower tiers of the play rates for most of his history, currently only being the 74th most played brawler in the game. Robot Factory was next in September of 2022, and the Brawl Pass brawler was Sam. Yeah, I have a Why No One Plays on him if you couldn't guess, so once again, for a full analysis, just check out the video, or the whole playlist at this point. But overall, Sam has been one of the least played brawlers throughout his history, and overall pretty mediocre in terms of balancing. Sam is currently the 82nd most played brawler in the game. In November of 2022, the Ghost Station season was released, with Buster being the Brawl Pass brawler. Buster has been really strong at several points in his lifetime, like his release and in the past few months. However, he never really appealed to casuals and has never really been a popular character, as reflected by his current placement at the 64th most placed brawler in the game. The first season of 2023 was the Candyland season, with the chromatic brawler being Mandy. Mandy has been up and down in terms of both of her popularity and her meta relevancy, though she has seen an upward trend in both, even without her hypercharge, so it's definitely going to go up with her hypercharge release, which might be like a nuclear bomb or something. Mandy is currently the 39th most played brawler in the game. In March of 2023, the Mystery at the Hub update released, with the chromatic brawler being RT. Despite consistently being one of the stronger brawlers in the game since his release, his high skill floor and learning curve has made him quite difficult to pick up for the casual player base, leading him to an abysmal 78th most played brawler in the game. The Rescue was the next season, released in May of 2023, with Macy being the chromatic brawler. She's an interesting case in which she has been low in popularity in the meta for a long time, but she has been buffed to the moon and beyond, inflating her play rates to a very respectable 22nd most played brawler in the game. The Enchanted Woods season was next in July of 2023, with Cordelius being the Brawl Pass brawler. Cordelius has always been a very strong and fun brawler, though his play rates are a bit average, even with a pretty powerful hypercharge as well. Cordelius is currently the 51st most played brawler in the game. Second to last was Ranger Ranch in September of 2023, with the Brawl Pass brawler being Pearl. Pearl has a mostly uninteresting playstyle and wouldn't really be appealing to most of the player base. However, she has been consistently solid, though she does have one of the, if not the worst, hypercharge in the game. She's currently the 69th most played brawler in the game. Nice. Last but maybe least was the Bizarre Circus season in November of 2023, with the Brawl Pass brawler being Charlie. Charlie used to be one of the most powerful brawlers in the game, and for a good while too. With her design and strength in the meta, Charlie became one of the more popular brawlers in the game. However, after a little avalanche of nerfs for a Charlie in the meta, she obviously became a much less played brawler, currently being the 64th most played brawler in the game. And that's all of the Brawl Pass brawlers. Overall, former chromatic brawlers have an average placement of the 50th most played brawler in the game, which is in the 43rd percentile of play rates. Yeah, not great at all. And take into consideration, this is carried a lot by the early Brawl Pass brawlers like Surge, Gale, and Colette, and you can definitely see a pattern forming with chromatic brawlers and not being played. So let's talk about some reasons for this. First and foremost, it's because they were locked behind a Brawl Pass. This undoubtedly is the most important reason for the lack of play rates for most of these brawlers. Locking a brawler behind the Brawl Pass and then a legendary rarity is a surefire way to ensure exclusiveness for a brawler, but also lower play rates. Even though the Brawl Pass was able to be bought by free-to-plays back then, they could only buy it once every 2 seasons, which always meant some brawler would be neglected by them. Chroma credits helped to get more people get these chromatics, but it was still only around 1 chromatic brawler per season, unless there was a special event. Even when the brawlers were added into the Star Road, things didn't get much better for the chromatics. They were added to the very end of the Star Road. This means that for most people who didn't have all brawlers, they would take a very long time to unlock all the chromatics, due to them being at the very end of the Star Road. And even now, they are some of the last brawlers you unlock in most cases. Next, most of the rarities of the chromatic brawlers were of high rarity. Unless you're Rosa, there's a clear correlation with brawlers of lower rarity being played more, so you can guess what would happen to the most exclusive rarity in the game. 2 of them became legendaries, 10 became mythics, and 9 became epics. With most of them being mythic brawlers who took quite a while to unlock, and with them being at the very end of the Star Road, you can see why even to this day, many of the former chromatic brawlers are still not unlocked for a lot of the player base. From now on, it's more subjective rather than objective, so keep that in mind. However, I do think a lot of the brawlers of the chromatic rarity aren't really designed for the casual player base. Brawlers like Ruffs, Eve, Ash, Sam, among others, all have, or had, unique mechanics, but never really had a flashy or easy to pick up gameplay. It takes a lot of skill to learn and master many of these chromatics after the first few, and the uniqueness of their mechanics often becomes a curse, like with Ash, where you had to have a certain amount of skill and practice with him to effectively use and understand his rage bar. Finally, a lot of these brawlers haven't been strong in the meta for too long. A lot of these brawlers have had their strongest moments during their respective season, leading to many people missing out on the brawler's strongest point. By the time the brawler becomes strong again, like in the case of Buster, not many people are interested in picking them back up, and so the brawler is left unplayed. Overall, after a year since the end of the chromatic rarity, the former chromatics have still been suffering in play rates, due to many reasons. ranging from being locked behind the Brawl Pass for a whole season to being pushed back to the end of the Star Road, and being difficult for the casual player base to pick up and master. Thanks to Bronze Knight for helping me with a bit of the history of some of these chromatic brawlers. Anyway, thanks for watching. Watch this video, or this playlist, or join the Discord server.